Good evening. Tonight we have an unflattering portrait of the country's police service. A deadly force accused of operating outside the confines of the very law it enforces. From protests in Malakisi and Kibra to the disappearance of a 15-year-old girl rescued from early marriage in Voi, it does not look good. By October this year, the Independent Policing Oversight Authority said it was looking into 243 killings by police committed in 12 months. Police have responded with the usual refrain, promising to investigate and punish those responsible. But this grim tally casts a dark shadow over police reforms that were meant to help the service step out of a troubled past. And as the wheels of change grind ever so slowly, the public's patience is wearing thin, and the calls for accountability have become ever more pressing. Here's why. Tonight, anger over police killings in Bungoma and Kibra royals.
Kijana yangu alikuwa mzima, akaenda sokoni kwenda kununua soda, kukutana na askari kwa miti, wakafukuza, tena wakapiga risasi, wakaanguka chini, wakamkanyakia chini.
The fires of confrontation have been lit as angry residents fight back. Also tonight, yet another community dealing with police killings. Kolongolo confronts its grief and anger as a prayer service for 5 victims of a market shooting is held. Plus, yet another child bride rescued in Voi.
Ukiona ni mtoto hata kama anakufuata, mwambie kwamba hili na hili haliwezekani, wewe ni mtoto.
And also tonight, a cut above the rest.
By not involving men in the fight against FGM is like a doctor treating the symptoms of a disease and ignoring the disease itself.
The men warriors on the front line in the fight against the cut.
NTV Tonight with Mark Masai.
Glad you could join us on NTV Tonight. My right-hand man as we are on air for the next hour or so is David Agondo. I should probably say left-hand man because he's on this side. He's in charge of the sign language interpretation. To our top story tonight, and 2 people have died and 1 sustained a gunshot injury as Malakisi residents, this is in Bungoma, engaged police in running battles that carried on overnight. The residents were protesting the death of a man allegedly shot and killed by the police on Wednesday evening. Police had arrested the man after having been informed by an assistant chief that there were people who were drinking illicit liquor at a brewing den. 34-year-old George Lumbuku died shortly after arrest, sparking violence that had an assistant chief's office and house burnt. NTV's Zainab Ismail with more.
A Christmas celebration turned tragic in Malakisi village in Bungoma County after police shot and killed 2 people while several others were injured in the ensuing confrontation. The residents of Malakisi town had taken to the streets to demonstrate after a man was fatally shot by policemen during a crackdown on illicit alcohol on Wednesday evening. One of the protesters, however, Ramadan Shaban, who was shot during the protest, also succumbed to injuries Thursday evening. The clashes that lasted for more than 15 hours saw irate residents light bonfires and block roads as they marched to Malakisi police station demanding justice. 34-year-old George Lumbuku was allegedly arrested by police from a drinking den at about 7 p.m. on Wednesday. He is reported to have died as police tried to rush him to hospital. Witnesses say Lumbuku was beaten by police to death.
Ndio tulikuwa tunasema tungoje usibote mtatuambia sababu hiyo mtu umetoa mwili yote na watu wanaongea sababu hata niko hapo, yuko mtu mwingine anapiga simu anasema ati kijana amepigwa risasi na hajaona hiyo mwili.
The residents, in a fit of rage, torched the house and office of the Butongi assistant chief, whom they accused of sending officers to Lumbuku's home.
Tunashtumu wale baadhi ya watu ambao walienda kuharibu boma yake. Wameharibu vitu mingi, manyumba yake ya room 5 yote imechomwa. DC No, lazima tuseme ukweli.
The Deputy County Commissioner said the officers had gone to arrest revelers drinking chang'aa. But according to the deceased family members, Lumboko had visitors in his Matisi home for a rite of passage ceremony for his circumcised son.
Vijana yangu alikuwa mzima, alikuwa na wageni nyumbani. Kutoka hapo akaenda sokoni kwenda kununua soda, kukutana na askari kwa miti. Walikuwa na assistant chief, wakafukuza, tena wakapiga risasi, mtoto kuanguka chini, wakamkanyakia chini.
Chief akasema, shika ni chambasi, ako na 10 langu shilingi 6,000. Hao wakalipua punduki, alafu akaanguka chini, wakamshika, wakaanza kumpiga.
It took the intervention of Governor Wycliffe Wangamati to calm the residents.
Hii kitu haitungekuwa kwa hii situation. Kama huyo askari mwenye ameenda huko angetumia akili yake ajue hii kushuti hii sasa imeleta hiyo maneno mengine.
Governor Wangamati further calling for action against officers who violated the law in the incident. One other person who was also shot in the leg in the fracas was rushed to Malakisi Health Center. Zainab Ismail, NTV.
And it doesn't end there. As mentioned earlier, police in Nairobi today dispersed hundreds of demonstrators who were protesting the killing of a fellow student last Friday in Kibra, Nairobi. The demonstrators holding placards and twigs marched all the way from Kibra to the city center. They were headed to the Vigilance House, the police headquarters, only to be intercepted by police along Kenyatta Avenue. The police shot in the air and lobbed tear gas, sending the protesters scampering for safety. 23-year-old Carrollton David Maina was allegedly murdered last Friday on his way to watch a football match with his friends. Now, Inspector General of Police Joseph Boynet has said that an investigation into the murder is ongoing. The Independent Police Oversight Authority, IPOA, is also investigating the matter. And there's more. Political leaders from Western Kenya are demanding the resignation of Inspector General of Police Joseph Boynet for what they claim is his defense of impunity on the part of police officers who shot at protesters in Kolongolo village a fortnight ago, killing 5 and injuring scores. The leaders, who attended a funeral service of the 5 people at St. Francis Kolongolo High School this afternoon, say they will not rest until the families of all who were affected get justice, and this can only be through financial compensation from the Ministry of Interior. Families eulogize their kin as peace-loving citizens who were breadwinners and whose absence will be felt.
Friends, family, villagers, religious and political leaders got together for a requiem of the 5 people who were killed by police in Kolongolo. In the midst of the songs of praise to God, the air was filled with anger. Many who gathered here bitter at how the police have handled the matter.
Kuna kijana amepigwa risasi Kibra. Inspector General, and rightly so, amesema lazima uchunguzi ufanywe. Hapa Kolongolo hajasema uchunguzi ufanywe. Amesema wananchi ndio wana makosa.
The leaders insist that they will not rest until justice is served here.
Boynet, you have no business being the Inspector General of Police in a civilized Republic of Kenya.
Those who lost loved ones gave harrowing accounts of that fateful day 2 weeks ago and how that moment has changed their lives.
Kijana wangu ndiye alikuwa wa kwanza kuuawa. Na mtu mwenye alimpiga risasi ni askari anaitwa Kamau, na mjua ni machozi. Lakini tu kwa heshima ninaomba tu wacha haki fanye nini itendeke.
In a statement by the spokesperson of police, Charles Sowino, the National Police Service defended the actions of the officers who shot first in the air, only to shoot at the public. The police stated that in doing so, they could have been faced with an unruly crowd that might have overrun them.
As our brother Matiang'i leads mambo ya police reforms, we don't want to just change the police uniform. Lazima pia to change mienendo ya maafisa wetu wanaovaa hizo uniform.
Leaders here say that no matter how challenging the situation was at that moment, shooting an unarmed civilian is unjustified, and the officers who used their firearms on that day should be charged in court.
Huyo mtu naita sijui Kamau. Nikasema achukulie bunduki yetu, atoe apochanganya bunduki, apelekwe kwa mashtaka. nothing has happened. As we are talking, tunasikia yuko tu hum.
Kwanza MP Ferdinand Wanyonyi said he would be filing a suit in court seeking damages for those affected and the Interior Ministry to be compelled to pay the families of all those affected. Leila Mohammed, NTV.
There is increasing concern over the whereabouts of a 15-year-old girl who was dramatically rescued from a planned illegal marriage last Sunday. A youth empowerment group that initiated the rescue mission of the successful 2018 KCP candidate now fear that the girl might have secretly been handed over to her family, which has allegedly handed her over for early marriage. NTV's Seth Olale reports on what appears to be a cover-up that involves a regular police, child protection unit, and the family of the missing child.
Our search for Halima, not her real name, took us to the exact venue where we left her last Sunday, Pangani Police Station. Stereo CPD Alice Kimeli claimed the case had since been handed over to the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, which led us straight to the DCI headquarters along Kiambu Road. Here, the DCI said the case was under the Child Protection Unit, which operates from the South Sea CID Training College in Nairobi. We were then referred to the Child Protection Unit situated at the CID Training School in South Sea Estate, Nairobi. The officers who we found there did not want to speak on camera and said that Halima is safely in their custody and will appear in court on 3rd January 2019 when the case is heard.
I'm not satisfied because one, msichana ni Muislamu. I want her to get her right, all her right of being a Muslim. Nataka nipende msichana asali pali yako. Nataka msichana abadilishe nguo, akule chakula ambaye anafaa kukula Kiislamu. That is why I'm not satisfied.
It is, however, not clear which exact facility, if any, is hosting the minor who scored 313 marks in the recent KCPE in Elwak, Mandera. The officer in charge of Pumwani Police Station had assured activists who sought to know the girl's whereabouts that they would see her at 10 a.m. today at the same station. Surprisingly, she was nowhere to be seen.
So I don't know kama yuko kwa mkono yao ama hayuko kwa mkono yao. But I'm still searching because naona kila mtu ananiambia ni huyo ndio tumehandover kesi, ni huyo, ni yule mwingine. Sasa baka nilienda CID headquarter nikarudi South Sea. It was a long journey for me searching for this girl.
Halima, who had secured a Form 1 slot at Moi Girls Secondary School in Mandera, was dramatically rescued in Eastleigh on Sunday as she was being prepared for marriage by her sisters and some relatives. Her two sisters were arrested but later released on bond after being charged at the Makadara law courts. The activists are currently consulting with a legal team in a bid to access the missing girl whose whereabouts remain unknown, with police providing different answers every day on her whereabouts, raising questions on whether they handed the girl back to her family, which appeared keen to marry her off. Seth Olale, NTV.
Meanwhile, police in Voi stormed the venue of dowry negotiations for an underage girl and arrested a woman who had gone to negotiate for the girl's hand in marriage on behalf of her son. A special team of officers from the Voi police station had been working quietly to stop the plan to marry off an underage girl after the girl's parents complained of her disappearance. NTV's Taita Taveta correspondent Bill Otieno with the details.
At exactly 11 a.m., unexpected guests stormed a closed-door meeting. A mother was trying to get a bride for her son. They were caught red-handed in their negotiations. The discussion was centered around a 17-year-old girl, Mary, not her real name. She was to be the bride in an illegal marriage initiated by a mother of the man who was to be her husband. The Form 2 girl went missing from her parents' home 4 weeks ago. Her parents reported the matter to Voi police station. An investigation was immediately launched.
After getting information that where this child was, we managed to proceed to where the child is. We found the girl. She had eloped with another man, and Unfortunately, the man is at large.
According to Mary's parents, their daughter has missed school on several occasions, prompting them to move her from one school to another.
Mtoto wangu amedhulumiwa kimapenzi kwa sababu ukiona ni mtoto hata kama anakufuata mwambie kwamba hili na hili haliwezekani. Wewe ni mtoto, soma. Mimi hajangu ni mtoto asome, apate elimu, imsaidie kesho. Na hata ikiwezekana pia asaidie hata wazazi wake kwa maisha yale ambayo wazazi wake wanaishi.
Huyu ni kumharibia kama msichana wangu masomo ya shule. Na mimi vile nilikuwa na nia, huyu msichana alusiwa hana akili, ako bright. Mimi nilikuwa nataka asome, aendelee, apate college, akipata college anajitafutia riziki yake.
The woman who was arrested as she tried to lead a negotiation was presented to Voi High Court and charged with failure to protect the child from harmful cultural rights. Bill Otieno, NTV, Voi.
Here's another sad story. A cabinet secretary's aide has been charged with defiling his boss's daughter in a high-end hotel in Nakuru town. Ruben Kiborek, however, denied the charge before Nakuru resident magistrate Yvonne Kadhambi and was freed on a 300,000 shillings bond.
There was drama today at the Nakuru law courts when Ruben Kiborek was accused of defiling a minor at Sarova Woodlands Hotel, arrived at the court at 11:30 a.m. accompanied by his lawyer. Ruben, who is an aide of a cabinet secretary, was accompanied by a crowd said to be his friends who shielded him from journalists who wanted to take his photos. He was sneaked into the courtroom through the back door, and immediately the accused was directed to the dock. Nakuru resident magistrate Yvonne Kadhambi ordered all journalists and anybody who is not Kiborek's relative out of court. Covering his face with a hoodie, Kiborek was accused of sexually assaulting a 16-year-old girl on Sunday night in a hotel. The charge sheet indicated that Kiborek intentionally and unlawfully defiled the minor. He denied the charge and was freed on a 300,000 shillings bond. Police officers had a hectic time controlling the milling crowd and securing the suspect. The case will be mentioned on January 18th next year for setting off a hearing date.
Let's have some politics now. And leaders allied to Deputy President William Ruto have condemned Jubilee Vice Chairman David Murathe over his recent remarks that the Kikuyu community has no obligation to support the Deputy President as President Uhuru Kenyatta's successor in 2022. The leaders want Jubilee supporters to ignore Murathe's remarks.
Jubilee Vice Chairman David Murathe, while speaking in Vihiga at the Maragoli Cultural Festival on Wednesday, said the political pact between President Kenyatta and Deputy President William Ruto did not bind the Kikuyu community to support the Deputy President in the 2022 presidential race. This move seems to have antagonized allies of Deputy President William Ruto, who have come out to condemn Murathe's sentiments, saying Murathe is not the Jubilee Party's spokesperson and that Jubilee supporters should ignore him.
Is insignificant because Murathe is a private citizen. He doesn't speak on behalf of anybody. He doesn't hold any elective position. And the National Delegates Conference of Jubilee before and have ensured that he is not part in any way or party to the running of the Jubilee party.
We should dismiss them with the contempt they deserve. I think he was under influence of something I do not know, and clearly is not anybody we should take seriously.
If you see like Murathe now talking that he's talking that as a vice chairman, who elected him? The party of Jubilee up to now, it has never done election. Second, he has no mandate in the Kikuyu community to talk anything. He conned Macharia and he sold his seat with 10 million. And from that time, we have never gone back to Katanga.
Murathe had said both President Kenyatta and Deputy President William Ruto should retire together in 2022.
Serikali kama mnaunda na Uhuru, wewe unachukua mkate nusu na Uhuru anachukua nusu yake, alafu unarudisha mkate mwingine utatolewa wapi?
Leaders have also taken issue with Murathe for criticizing the deputy president for opposing calls to have a referendum to change the 2010 constitution before the Jubilee party decides the way forward on the matter.
It is the responsibility of every Kenyan to debate and propose and suggest possible solutions to whatever problems we find ourselves in with our constitution. And Murathe cannot stop anybody.
Deputy President William Ruto's allies feel that the DP rightly deserves the support of President Kenyatta in 2022, arguing that Ruto wholeheartedly supported Kenyatta's candidacy both in the 2013 and 2017 presidential elections. Vincent Odur, NTV.
It's been 20 minutes of NTV Tonight, quite a lot to digest, so let's give you a break. I know you're probably having some tea, gashaye after dinner. I don't have the luxury of that in studio, but I need to go get some water. But please don't go. I'll be right back. Please stay there. I'll be back. So in case you think I was joking, I did go for some water. Thank you very much, Peke Paul. Behind the scenes, making all the good shots here in the studio. Now, I hope you're seated and you need to be attentive for this next story by Rose Wangoi. Now, not so long ago, it would have been taboo for men to openly discuss female genital mutilation in communities that practice the outlawed rite. Many think it is not their business, let alone oppose a rite of passage that dates back centuries. However, there is a new generation of men who are actively campaigning against the age-old tradition. These men seek to empower and motivate young girls to become agents of change and to break the cycle of destructive cultural practices that continue to deprive the girl child of her rights. NTV's Rose Wangoi spoke with the champions of change, and here's her story, Fighting the Cut.
I'm Hassan Mulata, founder of Initiative for Progressive Change. I'm from Borana community, living in Saku constituency. One of the areas we so much focus on is around ending FGM. It's the genesis of community and development. Marsabit is a very cosmopolitan county. We have over about 14 different ethnic groups, and the majority of these groups are practicing FGM. FGM results to, girls getting out of the schools. It leads to early marriages, and a community where women are not empowered, it won't prosper, it won't progress. I strongly believe that women play a critical role in community development. Today we are in Bungoma location, which is part of Sagante Jaldesa ward. Most of the time we do our campaigns targeting young men, youth who are married and those who have not been married. Bro, mambo? That's how this. That's aga. I'm all through for you. Very good. Yeah. That's. We normally have frequent conversation with the young people because it's one way of breaking the silence. If we have a candid conversation with the young men who tomorrow will get married and have daughters. Sana asipokatwa pengine atakuwa anatembea sana, lakini ukiangalia hata wenzetu katika Kenya kuna zile jamii hazikatwi na wasichana wao, wamama wao ni viongozi na wamefika mbali sana, si ndio? So hizo vitu ni zile zinaitwa myth. The good thing is they listen. There are those myths that if your girl will not be subjected to FGM, she will not get a husband, or rather she will become promiscuous, and sometimes they say, she won't be able to contain her feelings. If these young men can say, no, we are fine with a girl who has not undergone cut, we will marry them, then that will be a score for us in ending FGM. The youth today will no longer be youth. They will move to that category of elders. So if we begin it here, then in the next very few years, probably we'll have a category of elders who are against FGM. And this will also, they will be able to shape the decisions within the communities. There is a lot of effects that come with FGM that these young men need to understand. The bleeding, the risk of death, infections, those are the immediate effects. Then to the long-term effects, complication at birth, the risk of, fistula, and so many things. In SACCO we have over 40 members, youth who are subscribing to youth who are against the FGM. We have around 20 in North Hor, Leisamis and Moyale also. So this is the movement that we are building slowly by slowly, and that is the beauty of it. For us, as long as we get 1 person, 2 person, 3 people understanding the message is a big plus for us, because these same people will be able to talk to their circle of influence, and as long as we keep on talking about FGM, we are pretty sure that more people will get to understand.
Anak yang sila akasuma ojo sini nulen beta kasanutum tani male dan tu launum kamna ne bila nan ke sunu marga beta sebena ke kale ne munum tucha beta dia moto chankane wankan infect si unu marga karta osina muwa na manfune sila lakisuma la.
We have come to learn about that it has more disadvantage, and we didn't find in fact any advantage that it has. We found that this thing is harmful. It should be stopped for our women. In our culture before, that there are some children who should be thrown away. That one also stopped. So with the time also this culture is also stopped by educating the people.
Also, I targeted the women leaders. There are quite a number of women groups in the villages. They were receptive, and they were able now to get to trigger, or rather cascade, our discussions to their women group members, to their youth group members, for the youth leaders. It was called initially because you can't talk about FGM and it is like, this is a women affair. I strongly believe that there is no mother who intend harm for her daughter. Their concern majorly is not actually about the effects of the FGM. One of their key concerns is their young daughters failing to get husbands in future. So we had to assure them that this campaign is not targeting only the women.
Mila yetu kwa sharia yetu, hii mambo manaume tena mtoto kama arika mimi na saa anatufuza wa mama tena kuliko umri kuliko mimi mama, hawa wanapuza sisi kabisa mambo sisi tunasikia haya.
There is that belief that if a girl is not cut, she's an equivalent of a man. Someone marries an uncut girl, it's like you just married another man. So they're big-headed and she won't be submissive.
Mtu akitahiriwa inauza kabla mwaka yake anapika. Madhara yake tena tukajua hata wakati ya kujifungua tunapatanga kitu hata sisi mwenyewe tunajua tunapata shida. Watu inatahiriwa tu ni mtu moja tu na wembe moja, na siku hizi dunia ilikuwa mbaya, wagonjwa. Sasa mtu mwingine anaweza pata hata mgonjwa ambayo hakuna.
Lazima madhamba kwa sababu gadhani sikani.
Sana wakati ya Disemba hili kubwa sisi tuna macho iko wakati wa wasichana yote inatayariwa, lakini siku hizi kutoka tumepata mafunzo watu wamebunguka kutayariwa wasichana. Hata wasichana wenyewe tumeelemesha wingi hata kubali. Unasema atapeleka human right kwa sababu hii ni kitu ni dhuluma.
My name is Samuel Dismo. I live here in Samburu, here in Achas Post. I studied here as well, in primary, then I went also high school here in Samburu. After college, when I came back to the village after my education, I saw there is a need of me to come back and help my community. I started Pastoral Child Foundation in 2012. Purpose was to educate the community about the importance of education teen pregnancies, reproductive health, HIV and AIDS, effect of FGM and child marriage. Sisi Wasamburu tunaweka kijana mbele alafu tunaacha msichana nyuma. Hii ni wakati sasa ya kupeleka pia wasichana shule. Mimi nikasema kama kijana ni mzuri nikuje niwavunze njia yenye tutaweza kuendelea. Pia sisi tukute watu wengine wenye wanaendelea katika nchi hii. Msichana akipelekwa shule aende apate kazi mzuri, maybe aolewe mahali, lazima tu ataambia bwana yake kwamba pesa kiasi fulani lazima nitaekea mama yangu. The first time as a man when I was telling community about the effect of FGM, it's not that easy. I got the backlash from the community. Others are telling me you are coming here to change our own culture. We are here to shine the negative part of it because the Samburu culture is so unique in its own way. But the negative part of it, like FGM, child marriage, beating, we want to actually eradicate it. The first time when I called the elders, when they see that I'm talking about FGM, they leave me and go. The same to warriors and my fellow youth. But for women, they are very good listeners. As the time goes, I started to show them the positive impact of it. But when I go to a certain village, I teach them. I sponsor a girl there. I give her a scholarship from high school to university. Some of the youth, they started to join me from our village to preach more to end FGM. Then from there, I saw some of the elders joining me, women activists. I saw there is a need of me to chip in and help and bring some men on board to help our sisters, to help our mothers to end FGM and educate them on the effect of FGM. Habari tena? Linjia? The elders told me that, why are you talking about women issue? You need to concentrate on many issues. But I decided to use the best approach to get the FGM models, to show them the effect, telling them verbally, then definitely they don't agree, they don't even understand. Na sasa hii sasa ni ile ya Wasamburuka kabisa, kwa sababu ni kukata kila mahali mpaka hapa na hapa inashikana. Unaona? Ikishikana kutoka hapa sasa ndio maana sana wale Wasamburu wetu wanapatanga machida. Ni ile sky iliashiliwa sasa ikikatika baadaye wakati msichana anajifungua inaleta shida. Anatoa damu nyingi, ikitokea sasa hii mpaka tu hospitali mtu tu apelekwe. Kwa hivyo unaona kutahiri kwa wasichana inaleta pia madhara nyingi sana. Na nyinyi pia mnajua kama wanaume, lakini kina mama wanajua lakini hawasemi. Hii pia ni type nyingine ya kutahiri wasichana. No one wants actually to be in front to say that my girls will not be cut. During the workshop, they will just respond that they will end FGM.
Sijawahi kuona picha kama hii. Sisi tulikuwa na watu wakienda kumbe wanaumia. Wanaumia, hata sio kitu mzuri. Ni kitu ya kimila. Wakati tulianza kusema hii na hapa na pale na huko, ilikuwa ngumu. Ilikuwa hata mapikano. Na ilikuwa watu wataki kuacha.
Hiyo picha ilikuwa mbaya kabisa, kama kina mama wako na hiyo shida kubwa kiasi hiyo na wanafishianga wazee. Kwa maoni yangu na wazee wenzangu ni kwamba hiyo ukeketaji afadhali tuache, kwa sababu sasa kama mimi nikiwa mzee ama nikiwa mwanaume na mwenzangu anaumia na mimi siumii, sasa hiyo ni kitu ambaye inaonyesha simpei haki. Niko na wasichana, mmoja amekeketwa, wengine 4 hawajakeketwa, kwa hivyo labda hao wengine nitajaribu kuwaokoa.
Sasa wazee, sasa mumeona madhara ya ukeketaji ya wasichana. So mafunzo italetwa kwenu kwa mamanyata ndio tupate njia mbadala ya kusaidia watoto wetu. So sasa ni jukumu lenu kuwa walaini wa kwanza kusaidia watoto wetu, kwa sababu sisi kama warani hatakuwa na uwezo yote ya kufanya ili tukomeshe ukeketaji.
Nataka kuambia wase baada ya hayo kuja tukae chini, kwa sababu hii kitu kweli ni mbaya. Hatutaki hii kitu na hatutaki kabisa.
Majina naitwa Ustadh Abdullahi Haji Gudo. Nafanya mambo ya kuhamasisha jamii kuhusu mambo ya FGM, yani female genital mutilation, ukeketaji. Kilichonifanya kwanza tuanze kuhamasisha umma, ya kwanza ni kuona wasichana wakikeketwa wanapata tabu wakati wa kupata ada ya mwezi ambayo tunaita ni menstruation. Nakuta pia wakati wa kuolewa, hata bwana mara nyingine inakuwa ni shida kupenetrate wakati wa kwenda kujifungua. Ndio tukaanza kupelekwa kwenye mikutano na mihadhara, forums. Wakati daktari gynecologist alipokuja kutufundisha, nilipiga akili yangu nyuma, nikajua kumbe wale wasichana na akina mama wanaoumia upande wetu kumbe ni result ya FGM. Hili imenifanya nisikie uchungu na niwaonee huruma. Hii ukeketaji kwa nini watu wanafanya? Tukajua wengine wanasema ni dini, wengine wanasema ni mila. Mimi kama kiongozi wa dini tuliamua kutafuta kwenye dini, je, dini inasemaje? Ikawa kuna maoni tofauti ya viongozi wa dini.
Wasichana wetu wanapata matatizo makubwa.
Baada ya kupitia hizi safari ndefu, kuhudhuria mikutano mingi, summit nyingi, religious leaders meeting, tukishauriana, na baadaye nikapata kujua ya kwamba sio katika dini. Ikanibidi nikirudi na mimi niwe ni mmoja wapo wa wale wenye kufundisha watu wetu, kuhakikisha ya kwamba angalau tumejaribu kuacha hii. FGM prevalence, mimi kivyangu naona kidogo kuna ile mshuko kidogo, lakini kulingana na utafiti tuliopata 95% ya wenyeji wale wanakeketa kabisa. Lakini kwa kuwa Tana River tuko na makabila mingi, kuna Waorma, Wardei wale wanakeketa, Munyoyaya, Wailwana na Wata. Wale hawakeketi kabisa katika Tana River ni Wapokomo, both Muslims na non-Muslims, na Waswahili ambao wako upande wa Kipini karibu na bahari. Stage 3, the worst stage, ile mbaya kabisa, ndio hiyo infibulation. Hiyo ndio watu wetu wanafanya. Tunajaribu kuweka kwenye zile hotuba zetu wakati wa Ijumaa, but it is difficult sometimes kuongea, ni ngumu. Kuna zile hamasisho kadhaa tumefanya. Moja wapo tulifanya hapa Garsel. Ilifika wakati hata area chief hapa alitaja Kilitori kwa lugha. Ikabidi akina mama wampatie, yani waseme tumekulaani kwa sababu umetaja uchi wetu wazi mbele ya watu. Ikabidi aombe msamaha, apeane mbuzi, akina mama wakule na waitane wamsamehe.
Wanatoa damu nyingi.
Wakati unafundisha FGM lazima kuna baadhi ya viungo vya mwili hasa kwa utataja. So ukitaja inakuwa ni ngumu. Wale unawaita pale mara nyingine wengine ni familia yako, wengine ni in-laws, lakini unawaomba radhi, unawaeleza kwanza hii ninayozungumzia pengine, lakini sheria ya dini haioni haya. Mimi kama kiongozi ya dini wasi ni kwamba waliniacha kwenye mkutano. Waliniambia, wewe ustadhi Sheikh mzima, kwa nini unaongea juu ya hii uchi ya mwanamke? Kwani umeacha maneno yote ya dini mpaka saa hii basi nini? Then wanakuambia hii ni mambo ya mashirika. Ni vigumu kiongozi wa dini kusimama. Wengi tukijifundisha wanaogopa, wanakaa ni kama hawasikii uchungu. Nikasema mimi ni kiongozi wa dini, nikiwa nimeelimika nikarudi nikakaa mbele ya Mwenyezi Mungu, kesho nitaulizwa kwa nini umejifundisha na umeenda umenyamaza. Naenda mahali na ubiri, nasema mahali iwe kuna facilitation ya kwenda huko hakuna, mimi mwenyewe najisimamia kuhakikisha ya kwamba at least nitawaelimisha. Wale circumcisers ni wazee kabisa, wengine hata kuona hawawezi, hawaoni kabisa. Mimi nilishawafundisha kwenye workshop, seminar kwa tadhari, wengine hata wakitoka na washika mkono. Sasa mtu kama unampelekea msichana wako na kijembe au na kisu, na katika kutrain kwangu wananisikiza vizuri na wanasema ni dini na wanaletea dini, lakini wakiondoka pale kesho yake wanafanya. Hiyo ndio the worst thing happened to me, kwa sababu mtu umemfundisha karibu wiki mzima.
Mambo ya ukeketaji tunafanya haiko katika dini ya Kiislamu.
Delink it from the religion. Tuambie watu hii ni mila. Na tunajaribu kuwaonyesha, kwa sababu kuna wale ambao sio Waislamu pia wanafanya, na wakisema ni mila yao. Tunajaribu kuwaonyesha hiyo pia. Lakini wasichana pia tunaongea na wao, tunaambia this is not an Islamic activity act. Kwa hivyo Mtume hakufanyia wasichana wake, kwa hivyo usione vibaya. Hata wale ambao hawakukeketwa, so ile unyanyapaa kule shuleni imepungua.
Some good responses as you have been following Fighting the Cut by Rose Wangoi and the team that put this together over a good period of time, of course, meeting some men who are on the front line fighting the cut. And yes, here, Jack O. Abira, you say, how come no one tells us why the right was put in place? You need to deal with that in order to stop it, else we will slide back to it after some time. Livingston, you say it feels good to see these men doing such a wonderful job or work. FGM should be ended completely. Good work to these men. Totally agree with you. Lois or Rose Wangoi, you mean to say, always informing us on life issues. FGM should be condemned in the strongest term possible. It is our duty to champion against FGM. This is Kiama Peter, you tweeted. And Stella, don't I just love this? Isn't it so amazing how men are helping in fighting the cut? True, this is very true. And Fighting the Cut, the second part of this feature documentary by Rose Wangoi, continues after the break. So stay with us. NTV Tonight will be back shortly.
My name is Tony Mwebia, the founder of Men and FGM online and offline campaign that rallies men and boys to join the fight against FGM and other harmful cultural practices. And looking around, I could not see so many men talking about FGM. So I thought, why not start an online campaign called Men and FGM and try to lobby the policymakers and organizations and other people to join the fight against FGM. I do so many tweets depending with the research, the current research that has been done, the different campaigns that are ongoing. To some extent, people see me, I don't know, like a mouthpiece or something of the sort. My DM is always full of so many issues about campaigns not going right in some places in Kenya. I also have a website whereby I write about FGM. So if I feel an issue like needs to be talked or addressed all about it, then I write it on my website and I do blog. I address so many issues like men and FGM, security and FGM. I challenge even the government authorities. Like for example, I feel like if Matiang'i woke up today and said and gave a warning to all the chiefs in Kenya and told them that crack the whip, make sure that no guy is cut within your area, and if someone is cut, you're going to lose your job. It can be a big step towards ending FGM. We have great internet penetration in Kenya. Who are the greatest consumers of social media? It is the youth themselves. So social media plays a very big, huge role in the fight against FGM in the essence that it gets to the youth themselves, who are like the future generation and the people who we need the end FGM message to get into right now. I use my phone. It's the easiest way. So anytime I'm stuck on traffic, anytime I'm not busy, like most of the times when you see I'm tweeting so much, maybe I'm stuck on traffic or I'm traveling or something of the sort. So it's much easier on the phone than the laptop. So when I want to reach out the communities themselves, I mostly use Facebook. Almost everyone is on Facebook, but Twitter is quite restrictive to few people. Over the years, what has kept me moving and kept me campaigning against FGM is the 1, 2, 3 positive feedbacks that I get from different people. I also get some direct messages which are like, man, keep on pushing. So this is what keeps me doing what I'm doing. I get so many people talking to me, both survivors, both the men from Marsabit, the men from Wajir, the men from Mandera, a lot of feedback. There are so many men out there who admire what I'm doing and who wants to join this fight, but they fear the backlash from the community and the people, their circles and everything. We need to keep on pushing, encouraging more men to come out and speak and join the fight against FGM. There are so many attacks coming from different people out there, and I get so many in a day. Why am I talking about FGM? It's not the issue as men. It's something that I'm passionate about. It's a journey that I've decided to walk. So I don't fear the backlash. It happens. Some of the communities are very hostile because you're trying to intrude into what they truly believe is their culture.
For a long time, women have been in the forefront fighting against female genital mutilation with little or no support from the men in the community. But now the narrative is changing. Men are speaking out boldly about the cut rather than seeing it as a woman issue.
By not involving men in the fight against FGM, it's like a doctor treating the symptoms of a disease and ignoring the disease itself. We need the men, we need everyone to join the fight against FGM. Men are like catalysts.
Women, when they suffer, in a way we will equally suffer, because if your wife get a complication during birth, you will need to foot the bill, run up and down and everything. In a way it will affect you. So why should you even allow this to happen to the people you are supposed to protect?
A man who has lost a loved one from FGM complications, the babies and everything, how many men have come out to openly speak about this? Because of our ego as men, we suffer in silence. I would like to see us getting to a point whereby the men start opening up and sharing their stories.
Naam, shukran sana kwa kuendelea kuitegea Ipse Radio 100.3 FM Marsabit. Tutakuwa tunazungumzia kuhusiana na swala la ukeketaji wa wasichana ukipenda FGM. Mtu anajiuliza kwa nini mwanaume achukue jukumu hilo na kuanza kwenda kuwahamasisha umma kuhusiana na umuhimu aswa maeneo haya kaskazini mashariki, tuachane na swala la ukeketaji wa wasichana.
Ukeketaji ni jambo ambalo inahusika na wakina mama peke yao. Na saa zingine inakuwa vigumu kwa jamii wetu kuelewa mbona wanaume wanajihusisha. Lakini sababu ni rahisi sana. Ukeketaji una madhara nyingi sana. Na hawa ni watoto wetu, hawa ni madada zetu, na hawa ni wakina mama wetu.
Nikirudi kwa Sister Markabo, ndugu Hassan amesema kwamba kuna madhara na uchungu. Wewe kama mtu mmoja, ni yule mtu ambaye ameweza kupitia ukeketaji?
Nimepitia na nimehisi ile uchungu ambao wasichana wanapitia, na mara mingi ukiangalia sana kwa kimila yetu unapata msichana ambaye anakeketwa ako katika ule umri mdogo, hawezi jitetea. Nikasema kuwa mimi kama mmoja wapo wa wasichana nitasimama na ndugu Hassan nisaidie wale wasichana wenye hawajapitia, tuweze kutembea katika kijiji, tuelimishe pia wale wazee ambao wazee na pia wamama zetu ambao wanajua ukeketaji ni mambo ya mila. Tukienda kwa shule tunaambia wasichana, ukikuja kukeketwa unatoroka. Tunaanza na wale watoto wako primary school, shule ya msingi, kwa sababu ukeketaji unaanza umri wa miaka 9, 10, 11, 12 hapo. So
unaamini haswa ni nani akona jukumu kubwa la kuweza kusimamisha swala hili la ukeketaji wa wasichana? Ni baba ama ni mama?
Mama akiamua kusema mtoto wangu hawezi fanyiwa, baba hawezi kataa. So ni jukumu ya mama na jukumu ya sisi wasichana kusema hapana kwa ukeketaji.
We have been using Ipse FM radio station, which has a very good coverage. Covers the entire Marsabit County, southern Ethiopia, and Mandera. This is a very good platform to reach out to people. Those maybe it's very difficult to reach, because sometimes we won't be able to reach every other village. Using the media, we are able to reach, get into the bedrooms and sitting rooms and of every house all across the county.
Kwa dumuni adumulekera yote. Mungu sio mjinga venye alitumba, si ndio? Juu sisi tumeenda kumkosoa, si ndio? Mimi mwenyewe nimepitia hiyo madhara. Kama nilipokuwa msichana, niliona tofauti ya vile nilikuwa na wakati nilipitia ukeketaji, ile madhara nilipata. Ndio kwa sababu nimeona ni lazima niokoe wasichana wetu hawa wadogo. Tuna practice type 2 of which tunaita excision, the removing of the clitoris and both the small labia and the larger labias. Wakati ile unaenda kujifungua, that scar itarenew. Anakuwa na hiyo prolonged labor, alafu mpaka saa zingine mtoto anatoka kwa amekufa. Wakati wako na hiyo protracted labor, anapata ugonjwa inaitwa fistula. Nilikuwa na taipina ya nini? Ya watu kukeketwa. Kitambo walikuwa washy, hata wakiniona wanatoroka, wengine wanatoroka wanajificha, lakini saizi wamekuwa open. Hata mtu mwenyewe anasema kweli, kumbe mimi huwa nakuanga na hiyo shida, nafikiria ni shida nyingine, kumbe ni hii kitu nimeleta hiyo shida. So unakuta wameanza kufanya nini? Kutunga mikono. Mimi wasichana wangu ni wawili na nimesema hawezi keketwa.
Tumeingia ndani ya masomo, tumeelewa mpaka tukafahamu kabisa. Tukaona hii kitu tunadhuru watoto. Tukasema kama samani sisi tumedhuruliwa, hatuwezi sasa kudhuru tena watoto wetu.
We empowered girls through all the program. We empower them through educational workshops for 5 days, whereby we teach them about reproductive health, HIV and AIDS, FGM, drug abuse and its effect.
Type 2, excision. Kina nani ndio wanafanyanga hiyo?
So far we have empowered more than 1,500 girls in our educational workshop. So far we have sponsored 21 girls and they are in high school. And I'm sure those 21 girls, they are not cut because their parents have promised me.
I myself, I decided not to undergo FGM. They have even sponsored me in high school. Early next year, they are going to take me to university in which I had like to study about medicine.
The worry in the community is they don't understand that the laws are there. But when we tell them, when you cut the girls, you'll be taken to jail. Some of the elders, they say that let the police come. They will even fight with them. There's a time actually I was engaging villages with the Anti-FGM Act. It was actually very hard for me to teach them and translate the same time. So it is advisable if they translate this to a different language of a different community. I don't think to arrest them will be a solution. The solution is to empower them and give them time to change, to stop FGM.
If you say we have to impose the act only, then they can do it in hiding. First, engage the community, let them understand that FGM is wrong because of 1, 2, 3 reasons, and equally then you bring also the act that this is what the law equally says about it.
Nilipoenda Sudan kule North Kordofan, kuna kijiji inaitwa El Ubedi, tulifanyia sherehe pale. Imekubaliana wakasaini kuacha FGM. Nikifuatilia iliwachukua viongozi wa dini na mashirika miaka 15 kuongea na wao continuously bila hata kukata. Hata jamii yetu siwezi achieve in one day, so lazima nichukue ile hatua ya kukaa hata kama ni miaka 30 zijazo niongee. Na kama mimi ni kiongozi lazima nionyeshe mfano mimi mwenyewe. Msichana wangu mimi sahi mwaka huu ujao anaenda form 2 na bado hajakeketwa na wasichana wengine wadogo. Niko na wasichana 3. So lazima nionyeshe mfano. Na kuna mashek kadhaa tuko na wao hapa pia bado hajakeketa.
At 94%, if you decided to apply the law to this society, that is 9 out of 10 girls have been cut. 9 out of 10 families have practiced FGM. So if you arrested all of them and applying the law to them, where do you take them? So this simply means that we have to, first of all, sensitize the community. For example, if you come to the communities where you have prevalences of 28% among the Kalenjins or the Merus and Embus at 31%, then this means that these communities, it's just a few characters there who are practicing this harmful cultural practice. So apply the full force of law. I'm not saying that the law should be applied selectively. It is about changing the mindset and also structuring the campaigns in a way that you make them appealing to the communities.
We don't have political will to end FGM. Definitely know that you will lose your seat during electioneering period. So that's why most of them, they fear to talk with the community about FGM. Because when they speak, they are going against the culture.
I had an engagement recently with some of our members of county assemblies. We were discussing on, what role can they play in ending FGM. If a bill or rather a policy is brought before them that will address FGM issues within in Marsabit context, then they are so much willing to pass. So that means there is quite a good political will. They might not go out there and loudly speak about it, but they can use their powers and influence and their offices.
If we, as the general citizen, the laymen in the society, are going to talk about FGM and make it fashionable for the men to talk about FGM, then there's no way that the politicians will resist talking about FGM. There's no way that the religious leaders will resist talking about FGM. So it is key right now to do what we call popular mobilization, to have as many people talking about FGM.
Viongozi wakipatana hivyo, hasa wale wa dini, wakitoa sauti yao kwa pamoja, hiyo sauti lazima ifike chini. Na inakuwa rahisi kwangu mimi nikifika, watatuambia hata siku ile tuliona Deputy Chief Kadhi akisema hiyo kitu tuachane nayo.
FGM campaigns was majorly done in hotels, some just forums, something like that within towns. But if we are to end FGM, it's so important that everybody is brought in on board. Everybody has a role.
When the ancestors are passing the cultural laws and all these things, they don't sit in big hotels. They sit under the trees. We need to go under those trees and talk to them and talk to the people deep down in Tiati, deep down in Mandera, Wajir, and these other places whereby the campaigns have not reached. Talk to them and convince them. Come up with innovative ways. Why not come up with a football tournament as an entry point to these communities, like Men and FGM football tournament, and popularize it. Let's have them play football as they're playing the football. They're being sensitized about FGM.
You will not just wake up early in the morning and you say the FGM will end. So we need actually to empower community day and night.
Hii kazi sitasimama, nitaendesha mpaka nihakikisha kwamba hii elimu imefika kila mahali. Natarajia kabisa nione ya kwamba tuko free from FGM. Hiyo ndio kuona wasichana wanakuwa bila ya kuguswa, ako salama.
And very good responses on this documentary put together by Rose Wangoi and the team Fighting the Cut. Christina Julu, you say most of our campaigns in health fail because we do not involve the men, yet in most communities they have the final say in matters family and health. Molly K, you say community engagement is a way to go, plus the continuous education is the surest way of eventually ending the painful practice. Judy Dongo, you say amazing to see these men in the front line educating against FGM. Good show there. And Mike Adaka, you say there's need to empower and give more civic education to each and everyone in these communities that still practice. Otole Mukama, you chime in and you say FGM should end. However, what's the place of transition from girl to lady, or woman, the education and culture? Robert Maritim, you say now this fight will be surely won if men and elders are involved. Thank you. And finally, Joshua Nyange, you say kudos to you. You're referring to Rose Wangoi. Keep on keeping on. And with that, we'll take another break on NTV Tonight. This, of course, we will have a repeat of tomorrow and have it online on our various platforms. Stay with NTV Tonight.